Welcome to the Under Review podcast, where Saturdays mean everything, rivalries run deep, and the SEC reigns supreme. Hosted by Todd and Marty, two die-hard fans breaking down every snap, storyline, and showdown across the Southeastern Conference. From the swamp to the plains, between the hedges to the bayou, no team is safe when it's under review. Now back to the action with Todd and Marty.
All right. What's up, my friend? All right, episode 70, week 3 was quite amazing from a standpoint of great games. We anticipated it even better. Even better than last week, There were some games that were close. There were some games that were won in the last couple seconds.
Walk-offs,
yes, that was a great game. 11, it was. I figured it would be. Then there were some games where we continued to see teams struggle week after week. And then some of them are still inside the rankings, as you would, I am your host, Todd. Alongside me is my co-host, Marty. Marty, can you go ahead and flip to that the next screen? That is the AP Top 25 that we will start this episode off of. Again, this is episode 70. Ohio State sticking at 1, and then Penn State at 2, LSU at 3, which no surprise, Miami at 4, and then Georgia at 5. Georgia bumps up 1 spot because of the Notre Dame loss. And I don't see how Notre Dame's still in the rankings.
0-2 for the first time in a long time.
And they're 24th.
Yeah, that's...
If you want to talk about biased, it's there.
Most definitely.
And then 8, Texas actually dropped a spot after winning. More on that later. Texas A&M jumped into the 10 spot. After they jumped 6 spots into 10. Oklahoma being 11. Ole Miss 13. Alabama 14. Texas 15. Georgia Tech jumping back in the rankings at 18. Indiana staying at 19. Vanderbilt jumped to 20th this week. They jumped Auburn, Missouri. Some of the other teams, Auburn being at 22, and Missouri at 23. Like I said, Notre Dame at 24, and USC at 25.
I just don't understand how Vandy could make a jump like that, leaping 3 and 4 teams with...
That was what I was saying. I don't see how they go to that situation and how they get that far. Yes, Vandy they beat previously ranked number 11 South Carolina. Pretty good. We'll get into that story later on today. But Vandy they beat Virginia Tech last week, Virginia Tech last week, who's 0-3, who just fired their head coach today, like we talked about a while ago. Along with UCLA, they fired their head coach after starting 0-3. So coaches are already getting fired this season. But where does Vanderbilt's resume lie right now?
It's coming. Well, SEC plays fisting to really kick off good, so if you look at once we get into that game, we'll get into it more, but it just didn't seem like that was worthy of where they're at now.
Right, and I didn't really understand it much, but here we go. We're going to gotta go ahead. There's a first chat of the day. UCLA needs to fire that quarterback. I agree. I think the quarterback situation at UCLA was a shot in the foot for the quarterback itself. Billy sent that in. I agree with you 100% there. But I don't think whatever coach that you're going to bring in midseason is going to help you out at any point. So I feel like it's a...
Yeah, definitely. When you're already this bad, I mean, at 0-3, and you're supposed to have one of the elite quarterbacks as of he was last year, it's going to take more than a couple games to fix what you've got going on.
Right. All right. So now we're going to get into our round of the state games. Jacksonville State loses a thriller to Georgia Southern 34-31.
Yeah, I actually got to catch some of that game, and the last couple of drives, I thought Jack State had it, but penalties.
Yeah, they had. It was up and down the whole game. Akron 28 may try to make a comeback on UAB 31. Blazers win. Troy just absolutely did not show up for this game. Memphis gets a real test next week. We'll talk about that later on in this episode because I do want to bring a point up when that slideshow comes up. But Memphis takes the win, 28-7. And again, Sanford did not win, like we predicted. Baylor 42-7.
Yeah.
Charleston, West Virginia took on West Alabama. West Alabama takes it 27-24. Nico, I am bad at football. All right, thank you, Hayden. I like that. I like that one. Nico, I am bad at football. Yes, he is. Alabama State handles Miles 37-9. And this game was closer than which we predicted it to be. Alabama A&M beats Tennessee State 23-21. Apparently Northeastern's not as good as we thought. The Riverhawks did not show up for their game against North Alabama. North Alabama gets their first win, 49-21.
So, Lisa say Northeastern State's logo is better than their team.
Yes, well, their logo and their name. So the standings now sit inside the state of Alabama, or around the state. Sanford 0-3, South Alabama 1-2, along with Jacksonville State 1-2. North Alabama and Troy both are 1-2 as well. Alabama State, UAB, Alabama A&M are 2-1, and then one of the two undefeated teams inside the state of Alabama, University of West Alabama, is also 3-0.
I think I know who the other one is.
No, not for long. But before we get into everything, let's go and take a word from our sponsor.
Hey, babe, we got ants.
Okay, kill them.
No, really, there's a lot of freaking ants.
Well, what do you want me to do? I ain't no expert.
Well, fine then. I'll call Tactical Home and Pest.
Go ahead and call Benjamin.
Hey there, this is Ben with Tactical Home and Pest, proud sponsor of Todd and Marty and their Under Review podcast. And can I just say that if the bugs I deal with had referees, I'd be called for targeting. Tactical Home and Pest, 256-592-2842, or visit me at tacticalhomeandpest.com.
Again, want to thank Tactical Home and Pest for being one of our sponsors for this sports season. Again, you have bugs and you need them gone, just call Tactical Home and Pest. All right, now let's get into the SEC this week. Oklahoma handled Temple 42-3. John Mateer played great once again, leading into his big matchup next week. I don't know what else to say.
But that will be for a Thursday show.
Agreed. There's nothing else here.
Oh, I was getting there.
Alabama beats Wisconsin 38-14. I mean, what do you want here? You're playing Ownville Middle School. You beat them pretty convincingly, and now you think you're back.
Again, we got to sit down with some friends and watch this ball game, and it was. I mean, you did what you were supposed to do, and you want to get a crown for doing it. So,
right. I mean, good job. South Alabama, again, around the state, which lost to Auburn 31-15. Didn't play great, but you squeak out a win. You head on the road next week. Hopefully, this will be all right.
Oh, yeah. This is the same as the Alabama game. Get what you're supposed to do, and this is a work-on game.
Granted, that was the first time them two teams have met in program history. So,
which I thought was crazy. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. The Raging Cajuns traveled to Missouri. Missouri handles them 52-10. Ahmad Hardy had a pretty good game this game. I do say that. He had over 100 rushing yards, 250 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns on 22 carries. So, it's
that's a good day at the office for a running back.
And again, it was against Louisiana or the Raging Cajuns, but you did what you're supposed to do. Good job. Let's move on to next week. They got a good one next week. Mississippi State welcomed Alcorn State, beat them 63-0. Fluff Bothwell had 93 yards and 2 touchdowns and 12 carries. Again, you're handling teams like you're supposed to, and I'm glad Mississippi State has finally learned how to do that.
Right. This wasn't a struggle win for them. Like you said, Fluff played an excellent ball game. Yes, it is to a lower amount team, but I think that does create a certain amount of chemistry. Once you can be on all 4 cylinders and work together, can help you out in games later in the season.
Right. Oh, good. I'm glad this one came up. Texas defeats UTEP 27-10. Where's my panic button? Because Texas needs to start worrying now. You need to find a quarterback as soon as possible. Whether if it's whoever's in the transfer portal, still pull them up. Pull in Uncle Rico off the streets. Because god dang it, Arch Manning is not it. And I've said it for 3 years now.
Yeah, he really had his cage rattled this week by a UTEP team, which is rather shocking. And when it comes to SEC play, I think he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't even have the most passing yards. Malachi Nelson for UTEP had 209, which he couldn't score a touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions.
As Billy says, it was most definitely a struggle win. So
I definitely agree with that. It was 7-3, or it was 7-3 with like 15 seconds to go before halftime, and then Texas scored again to make it to 14-3. You're struggling with teams like San Jose State and UTEP. Okay, wait till you get to Vandy, Mississippi State, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss. Once you get to them teams, they're not UTEP and they're not San Jose State. So you better pick it up, and it better be like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is another game that I'm wanting to talk about here. Eastern Michigan, good Lord, traveled to Kentucky. Kentucky takes them 48-23. Connor Bowley, 240 passing yards.
So Zach Calzada had how many?
He didn't play.
Exactly. That's why you get a win here.
And, we talked about it. I said if they wanted to win and win nice and like big, convincingly, Cutter Bowley needs to play.
Friday Night Lights, if you want to win, put Booby in.
Yeah. He went in. He went 12 for 21, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great. On the ground, he had 5 rushes for 24 yards. Good. Seth McGowan had 18 carries for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kentucky, if you want to play good, he is your answer. You saw that last week when you realized that Zach Calzada was not the guy that we all thought he was.
Maybe.
So play the true freshman. Play the true freshman and Cutter Bowley and move on.
Mm-hmm. Don't be your best fit.
Oh, wrong button. Skip this.
I can't.
Why?
Because I'd have to go back, and I don't know how to go back. Wait, maybe I can.
You can't go forward? I want you to go forward.
But I want to try something first. Aha, I had figured out something.
Okay. Because I accidentally sent that one and then put it inside the games of the week because it was a game of the week.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think so. Was it not? Or was that last week? Go back to it. I'm retarded.
Yeah,
All right.
last week.
Yeah, no, it's actually next week. But Ole Miss defeats Arkansas 41-35. This one was a good game, to be said. If you didn't watch it, I'm very sorry. Try to go back and watch the highlights. But I did notice that Austin Simmons didn't play a lot. They played this Trinidad Chambliss kid who pretty much showed out. He can do it both on the ground and through the air. Which I'm not saying Austin Simmons can't. He just looked rough these past couple weeks. But Trinidad James did struggle a little bit, but got enough for Ole Miss to get the victory here.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really good game as far as back and forth and really kind of staying in there and not being one-sided like we thought it could have been if Ole Miss would have got going early.
Yeah, it was definitely a great game, especially to watch. It was at that 6 o'clock slot, so it was kind of hard to watch everything. Plus that, but if you watch this game, you'll understand this was a good game. Uncle Craig says, "Go Rebels," which they played great. They definitely played great. I said Arkansas, but for Arkansas here, I don't think they'll win another game this year. Hear me out. Listen, before they get into everything, they play next week. They play at Memphis. Who, yes, they're 3-0, and it is a Memphis team, but they play at Memphis. Okay, they might win that one, but I was probably going to say they lose. Then they go, I think they play at home against Notre Dame, I think it is.
Well, at this point.
But I think Notre Dame, they play at home against Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will probably have that one, but, we'll get into that section later when that happens. And then it's SEC. They might beat Missouri, but the way Missouri's playing right now, it don't look like it.
It's a coin flip on that.
So, I mean, in any given week, I could see Sam Pittman getting fired because I don't see them winning another game this year.
If that may be the case, I think Pittman will finish out the year unless it just goes completely slap off the rails.
We'll have to see, but that is something to keep an eye on. And that is if, again, they lose next week to Memphis. All right, we're going to take another word for our sponsor and get into our 5 games of the week.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
Also, before we get into our 5 games of the week, for the games on September 27th, we have football squares going out. We have Auburn, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. And if I was you, I'd start getting on them now. They're filling up quickly. I did work yesterday, got the word of mouth, and you might need to get on it now if you want to get on it. So, and they're about to fill up. That's $5 a square, pays out $100 a quarter. Uncle Craig said Bobby Petrino's just waiting in the wings. I agree with that. I think he might probably I think he will take over. I don't think there is no probably to it.
Yeah, I definitely could see that.
Especially with him already been there before and everything,
Right.
Let's go this one. Vanderbilt on the road in South Carolina wins convincingly 31-7. Lenore Sellers did get hurt this game. Luke Doughty is listed as a wide receiver. Maybe that's why he sucked so bad. He is. Me neither.
I mean, this is a little. I mean, I think the game would have been a little bit better if Sellers would have stayed in because I think he is a game changer for this South Carolina team. But without him, we see what happens. Pavia went down and kind of did what Pavia does: is make plays, score touchdowns. Which I didn't have him in my fantasy this week because I didn't start him.
I'm 3-0.
Nobody asked you.
Yeah, I think Diego Pavia did play great. He was 18 for 25, 177 yards, and a 7.1 average, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Lassiter for Vanderbilt, 1 carry, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. Cedric Alexander, 13 carries for 44 yards, 1 touchdown. Eli Stowers, 3 catches, 45 yards. Let's see. Malik Capers had a fumble recovery. C.J. Hurd, 12 tackles, all on 12 solos. He played great. Swapping over to the South Carolina side, like I said, Lenore Sellers did get hurt, but he was 6 for 7, 194 yards, and 1 interception. Luke Dottie, who apparently is a wide receiver, went 18 for 27, 148 yards, and 1 interception as well. Russell Faison had 15 carries, 74 yards, and 1 touchdown. Nick Harbor, 4 catches, 66 yards. Jordan Dingle, 3 catches, 43 yards. Anybody? Where is Dylan Stewart? 3 tackles and 2 solos. That's it. 1 tackle for loss. Where?
That's a subpar game for Stewart.
When needed the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think, excuse me, this team needed a presence felt somewhere after Lenore Sellers got hurt.
Yeah.
And then being the quote-unquote captain of that defense, and you're not making anything happen whatsoever, it kind of hurts the defense especially. And then, all said and done, 31-7, as just Vanderbilt just kept Vandy just kept adding, and they finally get ranked after this big victory for the Commodores inside William Bryce right here.
I wouldn't go putting all of my eggs into Vandy. I mean, they with this game, it was big having Sellers out, but Vandy's a decent team. I don't think they're a great team as far as ACC wise, but I mean, get the wins where you can in the SEC.
Which then again, I said South Carolina wouldn't be that great this year. I also said the same thing for Vanderbilt. I said this would be a good game to figure out who was going to be the worst of the two. But I think Lenore Sellers getting hurt in this game does have a factor on that.
Yeah, I think it was probably the biggest factor for them. And now it's for next week for Shane Beamer to figure out where to go. I mean, this is a crucial season for him to stay. And if he can't figure it out, he can hit the door with the rest of them.
Right. In a shocker and a close one, Texas A&M beats touchdowns Jesus 41-40 inside touchdown Jesus. Did you watch this one?
I did not, but I caught some clips. Did you watch it?
I did. It was very well. It was body blow after body blow after body blow. Who was going to wear down who first? I thought at one point I was really worried about Texas A&M. And then it was 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. Then in the second quarter alone, Texas A&M drops 21 on them. So, I mean, it was very who was going to defense make the first stop pretty much. And it's kind of how it felt the whole game. Marcel Reed, 17 for 37, 360, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Le'Veon Moss, 20 carries, 81 yards, 3 touchdowns. Most of them were short yardage touchdowns, but, I mean, you get them whenever you get them. But the big player right here was Mario Carver, number 1. 7 receptions, 207 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then Casey, what?
That's good numbers there.
Well, the reason was because they were all guarding Casey Concepcion, who had 4 catches and 82 yards.
Well, you either play with fire, you get burned. So
Yeah. And then pretty much gang tackling for the Texas A&M defense is pretty much what we like to see here. TJ Searcy, 3 tackles. Scooby Williams played huge in this game. I think he had an interception. He did. He's from Birmingham, Alabama, if you don't know. Yeah, you do. But just played great. Like I said, Birmingham, Alabama, he is a senior for this Texas A&M defense. Marcus Radcliffe, 8 tackles, 4 solos, 1.5 tackles for losses, and 1 pass deflection. Swapping over to touchdown Jesus this side, C.J. Carr, 20 for 32, 293 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jeremiah Love, okay, did he show up to play? 23 rushes for 94 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, if you're getting 23 rushes and only 94 yards, I technically wouldn't say you showed up to play, but, hearsay. It's 4.1 yards per carry.
I mean, yeah, they Texas A&M really, I guess you would say, kept him in check. Didn't have over 100 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, short yardage game worked for him, but he still got the loss.
Right, and then defense, Tate Johnson, 6 tackles, 6 solos, 1 pass deflection, 1 touchdown. I don't know how we got that, but that's what it says. Wasn't off an interception, so I couldn't tell you. But, I did get this one right. I did say Texas A&M would storm in here. They played a good game, though. But being 0-2 for Notre Dame is kind of hurtful for them.
Well, so I was about to ask you with where we see Notre Dame at kind of now. Is this the team that you was looking at Texas A&M being earlier in the year?
No, I actually had Texas A&M beating Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame did lose a lot, and then starting a freshman quarterback in C.J. Carr, undervalued. He is no Riley Leonard.
True.
Jordan Love don't look the same without Riley Leonard, what it looks like. But, no, I have a lot of hope for the Texas A&M team. But I did expect Texas A&M to win this game the whole time.
Yeah, you said that before when we talked even off the show and whatnot. Like I said, it's a good SEC win. Texas A&M a good win for Jeff and the boys. So it could put them on a track to start getting higher up into playoff contention.
This one's going to take us to Baton Rouge as Florida does not show up once again. 20-10.
So first of all,
LSU takes it.
What is Mike holding?
Crab leg. Or crawfish. My bad. Crawfish.
Okay, that makes. But so let's look at this before we jump into numbers and stuff. So we knew Florida should have got blowed out of the water this game.
Yeah.
But they only held or only relinquished 20 points from a pretty decent LSU team. So
yeah,
where does that leave LSU?
I think
you turn around and
go ahead.
You turn in. You almost had more interceptions than you had points for DJ Lagway, which is a very uncharacteristic game for him, or we have not seen this side from him.
All right, so I'm going to start on the LSU side. So Garrett Nussmeier, he did go 15 for 27, 220 yards.
No touchdowns?
Billy even said he caught a pick this game.
Yeah, I think he did.
Garrett Nussmeier had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then Caden Durham, 15 carries for 93 yards. Harlan Berry only had 1 carry. Aaron Anderson, 4 carries, 75 yards. Bauer Sharp, 3 catches, 71 yards. Savion Thomas, 4 catches, 35 yards, and the touchdown. Let's swap it over to this defense. Devon Keys, 14 tackles, 6 solos, half a sack, 1 tackle for loss. West Weeks, 12 tackles, 4 solos, 1 tackle for loss.
Did you get ejected?
I think Witt got ejected.
Yeah, okay, Witt got ejected. That's right. Which was big. I mean,
Yeah, because Witt is better than West, because West did get hurt early in the season last year, so everybody knew more about Witt. But yes, that is a big blow for their defense. But he will be back second half of next game. So let's flip over and talk a little bit more about Billy Napier's side right here in the Florida Gators. DJ Lagway, 33 for 49, 287. It's good numbers. But what is behind that is not great numbers. 1 touchdown to 5 interceptions. You threw more interceptions than you had touchdowns. More than all the touchdowns in this game. You had more interceptions than everybody scored a touchdown. There was 3 touchdowns in this game, and he threw 5 interceptions. That is unacceptable.
He had more passes complete to LSU teams than.
Yeah, that's what it almost looked like. And then Jordan Baugh 10 rushes for 46 yards, only 79 rushing yards for this game. So again, you're starting to say, how am I worried about this LSU defense? They held Florida to 79 rushing yards. Granted, it's not the best Florida team we've seen. I get that, I really do. But they held one of the best running back, one of the top 5 running backs maybe inside the SEC in Jordan Baugh, less than 50 yards. And as a whole Gator team, 79 yards. Vernal Brown the third. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was the bright spot for Florida was the Broncos. See, I know he had 2 decent-sized runs that kind of really like we got some momentum, but then DJ Pickway threw one, so.
Yeah, wasn't the best. Vernwell only had 62 yards. Baugh had almost more receiving yards, or did have more receiving yards than rushing yards. Billy said this LSU defense is the LSU defense that good for 5 picks, or is Lagway that bad? All right, see, that's a good question.
That's a really good question.
Seeing who caught the picks, excuse me, Deshaun Spears. Deshaun Spears is good. Understand that one. 2 interceptions. AJ Halsey had 1. DJ Pickett had 1, and Tamarcus Coley had 1. And Deshaun Spears also took one of those back to the crib for a touchdown. So I will say he is that bad. Likely, I just don't. I agree with Uncle Craig. He said he is that bad. Yes, he is that bad, but he also is very unexperienced. This is his first full season. Yes, he came in and played behind Mertz a little bit. He don't have that coaching mentality to help him craft his abilities at Florida this year under Billy Napier.
Yeah, so you think if he had not him playing for it, but if he had a better coaches around him, he would excel more?
I think so. I think because especially when you see a guy like this, a freshman or sophomore guy coming into your program, you want him to have veteran leadership. Have him sit behind, like Cam Newton did to Tim Tebow, or the multiple Alabama guys throughout the years. They're sitting behind Mac Jones or Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts. All these guys. Yeah, all these guys that are playing in the NFL right now. You want them to have that mentor mentality and teach the young guys. But when you are that young guy, you have nobody to learn from. And I think for Michigan, throwing it off the wall here with Michigan, they don't have that. They're starting a true freshman quarterback, but they have Harbaugh, who was a college quarterback. Oh, no, he wasn't there no more. My bad, sorry. They have Shamar Moore, excuse me. But he learned under Harbaugh, who was a college quarterback, he saw how he handled quarterbacks. So he's taking it to this guy. But Florida don't have that mentality and the understanding with Billy Napier.
No, I think it's gonna, really turn this seat on extra warm. I mean, I like the Lagway kid. I just think he's struggling with not having people around him, like you said, to help him. He's got the grit. He gets the want to. He just don't have he's at school. He just don't have the right books. Let's put it that way.
He's in math class. He brought the science book.
Yeah.
But should be heading on the road here, and we are. Let's see. Yes. And the interstate game of the week brought us an ACC Classic between the Clemson Tigers and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech walks it off in the final seconds with a field goal, 24-21. This one was a good one.
Poor Dabo. Do you think his ship is sinking?
You need to sell your stock if you haven't.
Yeah, that's okay.
They come out and they put 13 straight points on them. Clemson gets a touchdown. And it's starting to look like Georgia Tech might just carry on about their ways. Clemson does fight back.
My friend.
They will fight back. We saw that last week against Troy. Granted, Troy's not the same team as Georgia Tech is. But they fought back. They left Haynes King too much time to get them down in field goal position. And their fire play, they ran it to perfection. 10 seconds to go, you rush out that kicking team out there, you get a field goal in the last 2 seconds, and you win. Uncle Craig said our Tigers on crack.
Right. No, like I said, and like you talked about him before, Haynes King is the man. So it definitely sucks to be Clemson at this point.
Yeah, that hurt. Now they're 1-2. They fell completely out of the top 25 after this loss.
Big loss for ACC championship. So,
yeah, I think what it looks like. I don't know how it sets up in the ACC. I think it's a 3-man race between Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Miami right now. So those are 3 teams to watch out for inside the ACC moving forward. But if I am correct, I think it is time for the big game of the week. The game of the week took us to Neyland Stadium as the Vols took on the Georgia Bulldogs. In an SEC Classic game that we will soon never forget, an overtime thriller, Georgia takes it out 44-41.
Yeah, both these teams did not want to lose. Both teams played really good, but penalties after penalties really end up costing Tennessee this ballgame.
I agree. Tennessee did jump on top of Georgia quick, 21-7 at the end of the first quarter. My buddy JD texted me. He said it's going to be a long game. I said, "Yep." And then Georgia slowly fights back. Yes, they got the victory. Yes, they're drinking their moonshine because they're in their tears right now.
If you look at it, that's moonshine.
Moonshine. Yeah, that's the discount version. That's the Dollar Tree version of Tennessee.
Well, even though you turned Joey Aggie, they still played a really good ball game though.
Yeah, he did. I think we'll start on the Tennessee side since you'll start on Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar, 24 for 36, 371 yards, 4 touchdowns against this Georgia team, 2 interceptions. I think they had a big run game, especially with Star Thomas, the transfer from Duke, 9 carries, 60 yards. And then Deshaun Bishop, 15 carries for 54 yards. But Chris Brazel, the second, was a big-time receiver for the Volunteers here. 3 touchdowns, 6 on 6 receptions for 177 yards.
Them were winning ball game numbers.
And it was. And you even took it to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, Aaron Carter, 13 total tackles, 3 solos. Andre Tuttertine, 10 tackles, 6 solos. And then Idris Farouk, 8 tackles and 2 solos. Let's flop over to the Georgia side. Gunnar Stockton, 23 for 31, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nate Frazier, 14 carries, 73 yards, no touchdowns. Gunnar Stockton, 13 carries, 38 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Josh McCray, 7 carries, 17 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Georgia. Their biggest play came from Zachariah Branch, the USC transfer. 5 carries, 69 yards, 1 touchdown. London Humphreys also had 2 catches for 59 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah,
Uncle Craig said, "Good game. Vols kicker needs to attempt the game winner." No, that is true. He never attempted a game winner before. I don't know what his classification is. If he is a younger kid, Pulling it up right now. He's a sophomore, so yeah. I mean, he
especially
never attempted one of those before, so it's kind of hard.
Right. And I feel bad for the kid because all the weight's going to fall on the kicker. Well, you got to think that play that led up to that, the false start on the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Whether that 5 yards made a difference in that kick. So, man, it's just hard to say. I hate to see when you played so hard you lose like this, but this is what happens week in, week out in the SEC.
That is true. KJ Bolden did have a pick this game. CJ Allen led Georgia in tackles, 11 tackles, 1 solo, 1 pass deflection. KJ Bolden also had 7 tackles, 3 solos, and like I said, the interception. So, I mean, but the problem is this Georgia defensive line was not getting in there. 1 total sack for the whole game, and I think it came from a corner.
Oh, I mean, that too, but Tennessee's line's not bad. They've protected Aguilar very well this year so far, but we expected more from Georgia as far as how the line played.
That we did, but, Georgia's off next week. So they'll get a chance to rest and regroup and regenerate before their next matchup. So we'll have multiple things to see before that. So like I said, if you want in the football board, message me, message Marty, message, the actual page itself. You can text us, whatever, if you have our numbers. Thank God for bringing us here once a week. Thank you for the Wise for letting us be here. Once again, I want to thank Jughead and Chicken Legs over at the Dadpod, Nicholas Adams and Hunter Brassfield. Brandon Trammell, who was supposed to be here, but family issues led to a different problem. He'll be back some other time. Jud Dickinson, who is our Week 4 special guest. So Jud will be inside your ears and on your screen next week when we come to you.
So before we just totally jump out, we get into our last screen. I don't know if we mentioned it or anything that happened through what's going on, man. We just really need to double down on praying for our country and stuff like that. The whole, not that this is a religious podcast or anything like that, but the family for Charlie Kirk and everyone involved with that. This guy was a good guy. He really was. He was inspiring millions of kids to use their brain, think, and for future generations, which took a big hit now. It's just awful to see that you can be killed by your speech, and stuff like that. And I hate that. And this had been for some reason, I felt like I was talking to Brandon and I felt like I lost a brother. Never met the guy or anything. I just felt, that a good light got put out.
Yeah. And I mean, to caveat off of that, there's multiple things, people for years have been killed for what they say. Going back to the old days, Jesus was killed for what he said.
Exactly.
What he believed. Then Martin Luther King the same way, JFK, and now the most recent one, Charlie Kirk. It sucks that after all this time, yes, we're still losing people for what they say or how they believe. But just it's a hard topic, especially to talk about when you don't know who you're talking to exactly, especially on a podcast, because mostly we know everybody who watches, but you don't understand. Yeah. But, once again, we brought us to another week. Thank you for this lovely Sunday. Thank you for all on the live stream. I've now fixed the live stream, so we'll be here every Sunday, usually at 6 o'clock, but there's some plans this afternoon. So every Sunday coming at you from Facebook Live at 6 o'clock p.m. Come watch us. Come chat with us. Thank you for everybody that joined. Thank you, Billy, who also helped out with some questions. Uncle Craig. Let me check who else was it.
Miss Stacy.
Miss Stacy and Hayden as well. Come back next week. We'll be here. Next week, week 4 is a pretty big week, but week 5 will be even bigger. But make sure you come back, you follow us, you watch us, you listen to us, and we'll be here and answer your questions next week. Have a good one, and we'll see you under the monitor. Goodbye.